All right, we're good.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining Sunday Morning Grace today. I'm Reverend Vanessa Everett, and I'm joined here today with the lovely Reverend Beverly. And today our topic is love in action. And Beverly, you will start with the opening blessing.
Okay, I'm going to start. I drew a card today just to see follow up what everything was. And it was cherish every moment. And that encompasses love. And if you cherish every moment, you're always in the action of being in love with whatever it is. And the saying was, this worldly life is like a shadow. If you try to catch it, you will never be able to do so. If you turn your back toward it, it has no choice but to follow you. So let the Spirit carry you forward. Okay, I'm just going to ask for an opening blessing from all our beings, from masters to sages, to anyone in the spiritual realm that feels a need to use us as their vessels to come through and ask for everything they have from their wisdom to help us through and continuing to love every being in the world and everyone at every day. And so it is.
And so it is. Beautiful.
And now the opening topic again is love in action. What does it mean to you and how do you honor it? And what do you do, Vanessa?
Well, I love this topic. It's so juicy, just like every topic that comes up. But I've given this topic a lot of thought, and there were 4 key words that came to me about being love in action. And the first one was it's a state of being. Love in action is it's a practice, right? It's a practice to be in that state of being. And the other word I came up with was what an awesome affirmation it is. I am love in action. I've used that over and over since leading up to this meeting today, and it's very helpful. And the other key word that came up for me is that it can be very uncomfortable as well, because of some of the things that don't make us necessarily feel good to, for example, like put in boundaries, saying no. That doesn't always have to be necessarily negative, right? It can be love in action when I have to say no to my daughter, when I had to speak my voice recently with my dad. It wasn't fun, but I knew deep down inside that it was love in action because I was speaking my truth. And it can also stretch you, right? And stretching can be uncomfortable. It can help, it's just uncomfortable. So those are the 4 key words that came up for me with this topic. State of being, it's a practice, it can be an affirmation, and it can also just really be uncomfortable. So what do you think, Bev? What does it mean for you?
Well, I agree totally because in all my areas, I found the boundary the hardest.
Yeah.
When you're doing something that makes someone else uncomfortable or aggressive to you or angry with you, it's because they're fighting the true
Right.
authenticity of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you are coming from a state of love, you don't feel any of that. You don't take any of that personally. You know you're doing right. So this is what love in action means to me, is you must listen to yourself, and realize and honor the truth you are expounding on love, because they're going to fight you all the way. And yet, when they get that spark of love within them, they blossom. They're able to honor loving others too. It's a constant give and take throughout any situation that you have with anybody. but it's well worth it, because once you find that inner peace, you spread it to others.
Right. Right. And I agree. And one other thing that came up for me too, while mulling over this topic, is to remember that when you are uncomfortable being in that state of love and action, to remember too that the angels will have your back no matter what. You know, at first, when I had to speak up, um, I had said to myself, like, oh boy, you know, before I spoke up, I wish I would have just channeled my angels first. And I wish I would
Yeah.
have, you know, given it some extra thought before I said what I said. And the person I was talking to about this said, no, 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 you know, that's not
Oh.
necessarily the case. Your angels were there. Your angels were
Oh.
supporting you. And I said, oh my God, that's so true. You know, like, of course they were, you know,
Right
and
there.
it just reiterates um, to not be afraid to, you know, have that stretch, to be uncomfortable no matter what, because you are, if you can remember to just stay in that place of love and action always, you
Yes.
will be supported no matter what. Um, so yeah, that was it's a definitely a tricky topic at times, but when you're in that state of being and when you're practicing, things just will flow naturally and it will be organic and everything will be okay.
That's the key is to stay in that spot. And
Mhm.
we have daily things that pop up and it gets
Of
us,
course.
but if we know,
And we're human.
you feel we're human, exactly, but you feel it.
Hmm.
You've got that inner peace and you lose it, you feel it and what triggers it. So that's why the practice, and it's always a practice. We're
Hmm.
always learning, we're always doing, and no one's perfect here, but we
Hmm.
get better at it and better
Hmm.
and are able to help more and more people.
Hmm. I agree. I agree. And so what are the other things that you practice when you're trying to be in the state of love and action?
The most things that I do is try not to respond.
Mm.
I have to sit back, take a deep breath, and honor myself before I honor answering whatever they've done or are triggering me at the time. And sometimes I literally bite my tongue.
Hmm.
You know what someone's doing is wrong, and yet they're not there yet. They don't understand it. And so
Hmm.
they're just on a different vibration. And that's my challenge. That's my biggest challenge, is reacting, not
Hmm.
trying to respond to any situation.
Hmm.
Red or a green light, I'm in a hurry. I have to get someplace.
Hmm.
Gotten to be a joke even with my grandkids. We call Mr. Green Light and Mr. Red Light, angels, please change it for us. Well, why didn't they change it? And then a car, and I go, that's why.
Hmm.
So they're seeing the connection, and I'm the crazy grandma of it. It's fun to watch the little ones realize there's other people out there to help you. It's not always your parents. You're
Right.
mad at your parents, and you have to have someone to go to, and the angels are always there.
Hmm.
So that's
Right.
what I do. I interact with people by bringing them into the fold so that they can see and observe what is possible for them.
Hmm. Yes, I agree about the not responding piece. It took a few weeks before I could respond to the situation that I had.
Oh,
And, but I knew that I was being love in action just by waiting and being patient and checking in with my angels. Is it time to respond? And I got to know, you know, daily. But I did get a yes about sending a lovely card with a note and letting, this happened to be about my dad, um, you know, that no matter what, I still loved him unconditionally. And we can have our differences and things are going to come up. And I don't think that he necessarily understood that. And, but I knew that through my words and through waiting and giving space and putting up those boundaries for those couple of weeks, it was going to be okay. And I
He
knew
knew,
he
he
did.
knew,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to accept it yet.
Right.
I mean,
Right. Right. And that was okay with me, I was respecting, his boundaries.
uh-huh.
Again, uncomfortable, made me stretch in a way that I didn't necessarily want to stretch, but I knew that that was love in action. And that's how I really want to choose to live my life every day. So it was it was uncomfortable, but it was special at the same time, So there's that balance that can be very tricky because I think sometimes people are either like, nope, you're done, I'm out. And
Yeah,
they can't think of anything else and they're going to hold a grudge. But I knew that I could hold space and I knew that I could pray and I knew that I could do all of these things that were truly love in action steps.
exactly.
And it worked out beautifully, and I knew it would deep down inside. But again, it just was very uncomfortable. And I think people need to be comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Well, what you did there is you took the uncomfortable and you embraced it. You owned
Right,
it, you accepted
right.
it, and it
Mm-hmm.
so that is love.
Right, right. Yeah. There's so many different ways that you could go with this topic. That's why I just love it so much. Um,
It's endless. It's endless.
yeah, it is endless. It is endless. Almost could be a tenant, right?
It,
I am love in action.
action.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And just on the, flip side, I was listening to a couple of other episodes of this topic, and it's so true to just, it's the little things too that mean so much to people about being love in action. It's just like, the smiling. I hugged two random people the other day,
yeah.
um, and also gratitude is such a huge part of being love in action. Um, Again, there's so many different ways you could go with this topic.
There is. It's endless, like you said. It's
Yeah.
completely endless. So,
Hmm.
a good topic. Do you have anything to add, Marianne? She's grinning down there.
She is.
Actually, I'm listening to the two of you and I am smiling from ear to ear. You have summed up our Love in Action Month so beautifully.
Oh,
And Vanessa, you're right. It is endless. It's because if love is the core of everything,
right.
whether we agree or we disagree, if we keep love as our central foundation, it will be okay. It may not, and it will be uncomfortable, and we may lose people because of it. But
Right.
if we know that how we approach things was out of love, we have to trust that that was the right thing.
Right. That's right. That's right.
And and Beverly, you laugh and you say you're the crazy grandmother, and I laugh, I'm the crazy aunt, but I'm also the cool aunt because I am the one that loves you unconditionally. I take you as you are. I will love you whether you're delivering a line of bull to me because I can read through it, but I know you're doing it because you love me, or whether you are sharing about a lifestyle that may not be the traditional path. I'm going to love you.
Right.
And they all know that. And so as a result, they always know they have an ally in me.
Mm-hmm.
And when we approach life as being loving and not judgmental, we then become approachable, and it makes us then become a vehicle for enacting change and acceptance and just smoothing things over and helping people work through their difficulties if they always know that we are the mediator because we're coming from love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because you brought a point up. I went to a birthday party this weekend, and we're sitting at the table all eating, and I think she's probably 6. One of my nieces came up, and we're sitting at the table, and everyone's talking, and she looks at me and she goes, I have something really crazy to say. And I said, what's that? And she goes, I want to be a boy. And the first thing out of my mouth was, yeah, that's crazy. And then I realized what I said. So I kept talking with her and I said, okay, well, tell me why you want to be a boy. Oh, I don't know.
Mm,
I want to be a boy. I said, you can do boy things now. It's
mm.
harder sometimes if you play with boys, like in baseball, as she was playing, you're not quite there yet. And she goes, watch me, and then she went and played with the boys.
Right.
It totally, well, that is crazy. And then I realized I was judging her, and then I looked at everybody else and they're all in their own conversation. So then after we finished eating, I asked them, well, why? And then she had no clue why, but it was an interesting exchange because we come from a very religious family background. And it was quite an unusual experience, but it was come back from my initial just reaction, not a response, and find out why and how. And so it was very,
Do you see how that practice though of being love in action, like I said, it's a practice. Do you see how quickly that turned around?
yes,
And that's just, I feel like such a key component to this. It's a practice and an affirmation. I am love in action. Like I will say it when I'm doing the dishes, and it just becomes this natural thing. And wouldn't it be amazing if the world could do that?
yes, it would.
How
If they
quickly
would
things
just
could change.
do it.
And
Yeah.
you see the impact that that had on that child
Yeah.
just by quickly turning around that conversation. And she said,
Yeah.
watch me, like how amazing is that?
Yeah.
And it can be uncomfortable, right? But
It just, like I said, it was a knee-jerk reaction.
right. But that's an ego thing,
Mhm.
and because we're human.
Yeah.
It's
But
also generational,
right.
Yes.
But the mindful,
because our go-to is to go to the traditional,
right.
That's
but
true.
because we're loving beings
Mhm,
and we are that love in action,
mhm.
that we can immediately say, wait a minute, I'm speaking from judgment, or I'm speaking from my traditional norms.
That's
Right.
it.
When in fact, traditional norms maybe were the fact of lack of love, a
Right.
lack of acceptance. So
More ego based.
There you go.
Right. I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. And that's why this is such an important topic. Um,
and perhaps one to be revisited
yes.
at a later time.
Agreed. Yeah. You can really sense the difference between love and action and ego,
Mhm.
and how that feels inside. And um, I really want to put that practice into my family, say the words more. It's interesting because I tend to keep some things to myself. I tend to be more on the quiet side and the private side. And love in action can also mean really leveling up and really stepping outside that comfort zone, which is really tricky, especially with today, with social media and all these different opinions. And it can really just engulf you, and so that's why I tend to just be more reserved and quiet. Um, but I think that it's time for leveling up in
I
a lot
think
of different
everyone
ways.
needs to step up.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be from this preachy place. It just
Yes.
has to be, and it doesn't have to be, I am love in action. You can do it in different words, and you can say, yeah, but look at it from this point of view. If you were coming from a place of love and not of judgment or of ego. So it's just helping them without judging them either, just helping them shift their perspectives. Even if they personally are having struggles with it, love them for struggling with it.
Right.
But help them start to see not a both sides kind of piece of it, but help them shift or not feel guilty about it, but just kind of smooth the edges of that and then allow the rest to flow, because sometimes that's all it is planting that seed.
Right. And show them that they have love in action, that you can be love in action.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just saying, I love you. I love you in spite of your opinion. I love you in spite of what you believe. I love you. It's not what is coming out of your mouth or whatever. It's I love you and the essence of you. and then helping them love themselves.
Right. Right.
Remember growing up that, you know, when you got mad with your parents, I don't love you anymore. And that, you know, and then they'd respond, I don't love you either when you're bad. So then you relate being bad makes you unlovable.
Right.
And as you grow, you learn it isn't, you're always lovable. It's actions that you do sometimes we don't like, but we love the core of you. We love this.
My line to Krista used to always be, I will always love you. But right now, I don't like you very much.
That's good. My aunt.
That was always my line.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. Right. And again, that's uncomfortable, but it's still love in action.
That's
You know?
exactly right.
Yeah. I thought it was just such a
It was
key.
kind of,
component
it
to
was
bring
the
up.
signal to like, take a look at what you're doing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Without telling them no.
Mm.
It's good. That's very good.
Well, thank you for allowing me to jump in there.
I'm so glad you did. Is there anything else, Marianne, that you had mentioned that there were some other key things maybe going forward to bring up about future?
Sure.
Maybe-
Let me, yeah, well, I've got the floor here.
Yes.
I wanted to thank both of you, obviously, and I'm speaking now as a member of the board of directors for Divine Order of the Sacred Rose. So I wanted to thank all of you, both of you for today, and thank all of our presenters for this season, because today is actually our last live Sunday morning grace for the 21-22 season. And we will be taking a little bit of a break from live Sunday morning graces for July and August, and we will be back in September. And so I wanted to thank Reverend Alvia, Reverend Peter, my partner in crime, Reverend Jamie, and Reverend Sinya, Reverend Nelia, just don't want to miss anybody here, Reverend John Pinky Anderson, Reverend Carolyn, Reverend Dawn, and anybody else who has joined us since September, because your voices and your wisdom and your words really are what make this community as strong and beautiful as it is. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And but I also want everybody to know that Divine Order of the Sacred Rose Facebook presence will not be going away. Our group will stay active through July and August. We will be doing weekly posts on our tenets, and we'll feature a tenant each week and some personal stories from people on what a particular tenant means to them from their point of view. And hopefully that will give them a new perspective and help really bring them to life and show how they become part of our everyday life. So look out for that in July and August. And thank you all for watching and joining us. And I will turn it back over to Reverend Vanessa and Reverend Beverly to finish us out.
Okay, perfect. Beverly, is there anything else that you'd like to say about being love in action? Is there anything?
I'll end it with love yourself as you love others.
I love that. Yes, I agree. And love in action too, for me, the month of June was just a whirlwind, and some tough stuff came up, and I had to remember to, another form of being love in action is like forgiveness of yourself and others, and holding space for people during these tough times. And just collectively, just seems like things are really on fire with the world. And just to remember to just love in action can just mean holding space for the world too during these tough times. So with that, I'd like to just do a closing blessing and just, oh, sure.
Let's say the tenets first.
Oh, the tenets, I'm sorry. You're so right. Yes, of course.
No sorry necessary.
Yes, let's do it. Love these tenets. They mean so much to me.
Let me find the right picture here though. Oh, my screen does not want to let me do what I want to do. Here we go. There you go.
Thank you. I will begin. I am dedicated to my spiritual practice. I surrender to my soul's purpose through sacred prayer. I own my guidance.
I live in partnership with my angels. I serve with a loving heart. I am compassionate in every moment.
I trust it's all good. I allow immediate forgiveness. I honor my truth.
I listen to the spiritual messages within my physical body. I express myself creatively. I love all beings with an open heart and an open mind. I am one with Mother Earth, and so it is.
So it is.
And with the closing blessing, I invite you just to place your hand over your heart and close your eyes. Dearest loving angels and guides, thank you so much for being here with us today and participating in Sunday morning grace. Thank you for your wisdom, your light, and your love. And I ask that you continue to guide us and join us with every step that we take as we become love in action. And so it is. Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you, Reverend Beverly.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you live in September.
Okay, can't wait.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.